All right, welcome back to another episode of Tats and Gats podcast. My name is Alex.
And I'm Lee.
And this is episode 6. As usual, we are brought to you by Rifle Supply here in Huntington Beach, California. You can get all your firearms and firearms needs. And we are also sponsored by Inkton Tools and
RKB Tactical.
Right on. Also, last episode we said we would do this in the beginning. If you're not subscribed and you're watching this, go hit the subscribe button, comment a lot. Let's hear what your opinions are on this episode. All right. Now that all that formalities out of the way, we have a very, very special guest here today. I'm very excited to sit down and talk to this gentleman, hear some of his story. Lee, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Yes, this is Austin Hancock, former Marine and real estate mogul. Fitness. Dude's just killing it, crushing the game.
Awesome. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. What an intro. It's good to meet you guys. I love the vibes around here. I love being here. I'm excited. It's funny, since I've moved to California, I've had multiple people accuse me of being from Huntington Beach just by the looks, I guess. I don't know. And I was like,
if it's it.
I'm like,
the profile.
No, I've never been to Huntington Beach. This is my first time formally. Yeah, I tell them from there, and they're like, no.
They're like, no way. You
don't have a cowboy.
Yeah. You're like, look at
so,
all those tattoos.
Stoked to be here, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man.
Heck yeah.
Well, we usually start with the EDC pocket dump. Are we doing that today?
All right. I'm always carrying this around because I'm usually wearing gym clothes and shit. And so when I carry this around, I keep it simple, right? You want to do an easy pocket? Got to have the chapstick.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what else is in here? Oh, I went to the fair. Got some fair passes for the kids on the ride. Knife. You know, I gotta carry a blade. I feel like because a lot of times I can't. You know, that's just a simple one. What else is in here? Well, I've always got phones. 2 phones. You know, I work from my phone a lot. Talking about work, I literally always carry 2 phones. I learned that from some other dudes because batteries go down, especially shooting content, things like that. New iPhone, the camera's way better.
It is.
And so
I just got one. I was like, wow, it's pretty good.
It's fucking way different. Yeah. And then the size of the phone too. Like I wish I'm going to switch both of them to the large phone.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier to shoot and to control and like to work your computer and shit. So I'm always carrying those. And then if I usually do, I'm tucking in the waistband. I got the classic, just a Glock 19. It's got a modded Zev trigger on it. So pretty simple, basic, functional work, and then extended mag.
Sick.
Tactical extended mag.
Awesome.
So
does that have a port on the top? Did I see that correctly?
No, it's not ported. It's not ported slide. It's just a regular slide.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, just an OG Glock 19 Gen 4.
It was the front sight. From my angle, I was like, oh, that ported?
Sights on it.
Nice.
So it's got the low pro night sights. I've had the different sights on it, but I just run these.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, it's like, just buy a Glock 19, your first gun. They just run and they're good.
That's exactly right. It's the most reliable thing. I mean, all I did on this one was mod the trigger out. And sometimes you got to be careful when you do replace those triggers because they get sticky on these frames.
Yep.
You maybe have to do a little bit of modification on them, but I like the flat face triggers. It's just simple, easy. And then I've ran a Glock comp with that one. So it's, you can run different classes depending on what optics you guys have and run like that. And so I think that's a great place to start with getting into training would be something basic at your local range, like a Glock comp or something like that. USPS, was it USPSCA? Is that how you say it?
USPSA. I just shot my first match yesterday.
With them?
Yeah.
There's some killers out there.
83rd out of 100. What up?
Yeah. You go that to level, you get a lot of.
It was really a women's class.
No, dude, that was all the classes included. So there were some pros, and it is a different world, man. Like,
it
is.
Sure.
All right, be honest. Where would I have placed?
That's why I want you to do one because I'm really curious because you're a phenomenal shooter. But it is such a different than anything we do.
Is it like our crowd though?
No.
It's depending on where you go. So what I've seen, a lot of guys, a lot of SF dudes, a lot of prior military guys will go shoot that because it's easier to go just plink down the range with a pistol, right? And there's more places to do it depending on where you're located. But when it comes to like tactical shooting, I got some guy locked me on, like some random one of the old guys at the range, cowboy guy, because I was shooting in Oklahoma, and it's because I had a full tactical waistband, everything, external, all of it, leg, holster, upper. And so I had it out. I pulled it out. He's like, hey, you got to leave that thing in. There's just different rules.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to always being ready, always having it loaded, and if you trust me, it's in my holster. That's it. He was like, no, you're not allowed to pull it out of the holster until the buzzer rings.
And they have a safety table where you're only allowed to handle your firearm at that table.
Yes,
and there's not any magazines allowed on that table or near it. So you're unloaded in the holster at all times until you go to the line to do your thing.
You can get DQ'd if you fuck that up.
It's an immediate DQ.
At first,
they get people from all levels, so I kind of get it.
For sure. Well, that's what my thing was. Like, I was kind of like, oh, well, fucking chill out, But at the same time, I was looking at the other qualified people in my bracket or whatever. And I was like, this is probably solid. I get it. I'll have to untrain myself a little bit.
This is more for my protection than
it is for you guys. Yeah, fact.
But we'll totally do that. Like, if we go to like an open range and just kind of look around, see like who's got what kind of gear and what kind of guns. And I was like, all right, so that guy's gonna be good. That guy's probably gonna be new. So we're gonna go down here so we don't get shot. I don't deal with that today.
I don't want to get off on a massive tangent at the very beginning, but it kind of fucks me up too. Coming out of the military, you get the gear queers, guys that all have all the gear, and then the civilian world's really, really full of it. Because I've been around people that have a lot of money and that have tons of different types of weapons, and I'm like, you couldn't fucking disassemble and assemble that thing if you saved your life.
True. Yeah.
And so honestly, like, I just keep it simple a lot of times. Like, I like all sorts of weapons and stuff, but if you just keep the simple stuff, but when you look at a range, you can see people with some high speed shit, bro, and you're like, you don't look high speed yourself, you know?
No.
You got a lot of things to make high speed before that's not going to help you.
Yeah. Okay.
I've gotten that a lot. I've gotten that a lot.
At that event yesterday, it was 7 bays, and I would say maybe 100 to 200 yards, like that's the maximum from bay 1 to 7. And so you're only going 1 bay at a time. So you're maybe moving 10, 15, 20 feet, for each stage. And the guy had an electric scooter that pulled his wagon for all of his stuff. And I'm like,
whoa,
bro.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, that's cool.
You can let you ride. But hey, let me hop in the wagon.
Yeah. No, I tried to get a picture, but
I did the tactical games in 2016. So when it was kind of new, I mean, it had been going on, but it was new and it was still owned by the prior owners. And that was pretty tight. I did it down in Texas with a couple of buddies. And I mean, that place, cool. that was the only way I got back. That was my first step, because after I got out of the military, I didn't shoot that much, blah, blah, blah. But I got back into it because that inspired me to shoot more like that style. And I liked that. That was I think they've adjusted a little bit since then, because they go these places like the tactical games. Some will be like, the military goes like, oh, it needs more shooting and it needs more tactical. And then the CrossFit guys will be like, it needs more CrossFit, it needs more fitness. And so, but I think both's important. And bro, that was hard. It was fucking hard.
I heard that.
I would love to try that.
A lot of dudes train for that at our range, because there's a 100-yard rifle range.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of fitness stuff. There's like
a lot of fitness stuff.
So it's like weird. Like they'll just like use the 100-yard range and they're just running, gunning, and carrying weights, and they're just like training for it. There's like big railroad ties that kind of like berms, so they use that to their advantage. It'd be super rad spot to film content on.
Oh, for sure.
Like, so.
And then just the shooting under pressure again, is huge. I think
exactly. Go run 100 yards. Go back and then
shoot 50 yards.
See how good you do.
You know what I mean? Try to qual that one shot. So
that's why there's like a lot of flat range guys that are like just studs, and I'm like, well, go run, like get some adrenaline, like. See how good you are.
But then you also can't out fitness it either. Like, I had an advantage. Like, I was doing CrossFit hardcore at the time, and my fitness was on par, but I hadn't shot in a while.
Yeah.
Like, my pistol shooting's really never been that great, but my rifle was good. And so
it's because in like the world you come from, this is your secondary weapon.
100%.
So
I mean, I didn't even have one because I was just a grunt. I was the 249 carrier, I was a serious saw. So
I got one of those.
Yeah, legit. I want to play with that. I want to shoot, dude. So but like what I'm saying is like if I drop one round on the range, that's going to hurt me way worse than catching up on a couple minutes on the run or whatever. So really, you're better off being proficient at shooting more than you are trying to out fitness it, because you're just going to be dead. So kind of a way.
That's how our Marsoc buddy is. He's like, I'll be a second slower, but all my shots are going to count. When it's life and death, and I got my boys next to me, like. That's what's going to matter.
Yep, and he's exactly right. Nailed it.
He's like, it's a lot different. People are fucking shooting back at you. It's like getting shot sucks. So.
Yeah.
Golly.
So I've heard.
Yes, allegedly.
I've heard.
I've only been shot at and stabbed once. So.
Oh, dude, stabbing scares the shit out of me. Shoot me. Wait, don't stab me.
But you don't know until after the fact.
True.
Because you're all adrenaline up.
Really?
It feels like you get punched.
I'll bet.
Yeah. Like,
with a knife?
And later.
Literally been stabbed in the back.
You have?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, it's a gnarly scar just right here.
And I bet you don't feel it.
No, you don't feel it until afterwards. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You don't feel it at all because your adrenaline. Like I was fighting somebody, and his friend came up and stabbed me in the back,
Damn.
and it like went like above my lung. Dude, I
You're
like
lucky.
missed nothing. I mean, I missed everything.
So you're
I
good.
was like, dude, I missed nothing.
Slap a freaking Band-Aid on it and move on.
They pretty much they're like, here's a couple sutures and a staple, and
Yeah.
it's
I've
like,
been
okay.
stroked over the head with brass knuckles, split my ear in half.
Oh, dude, I
right
got
here.
that.
And I just felt like a punch, but I didn't think anything of it. But I reach up and I was just blood. Your head bleeds like crazy. So just blood just pouring in my face.
Dude,
gnarly. But
he knows the pain. I took brass knuckles to the mouth.
oh, really?
Yeah, I split my lip from here to my nose.
You're like, you didn't lose your teeth.
Oh,
do you keep
I
them?
had a retainer at the time, dude. It was like senior year. I was like, they're all loose. I was like, bro,
damn,
God, this is a gnarly scar. It's
bro.
So let's get into a little bit of your background.
What's sure.
Are you gonna dump?
Oh, no, I have nothing new.
What's the matter? There's nothing
cool stuff.
A little mod light. A little that. A little cell phone.
Classic.
I'll bring I got the G19. See, G19 crew. You should buy it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, you got legit light and all.
That's
You ready to make fun of me?
Dude, you bring your wife's gun today or what?
All right. I've been having an issue with my stomach. I don't know if I tore something, but it's really, really painful. And when I carry it makes it way worse because the extra mag is digging into your side. Wherever it's so I started carrying a fanny pack.
Hey, that's what I brought, bro. Fucking people online just murder me and tell it a
SIG P365. I do want to address an issue with the SIG P365. We're obviously not sponsored by anyone but ourselves, so I can say whatever I want. SIG, you made a carry gun that people are going to carry every day. This is a carry gun, and there's rust. I've had this for 2 months, and yeah, that's my issue. That's my gripe.
Metal Max.
You couldn't, but it's even on the slide under the safety. It's already a little bit of rust. I don't sweat that much, but it's like,
Let's see what they do because they just lost that $4.3 million lawsuit.
Well, they're definitely not going to be
the SIG P320. It went off and shot somebody.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're known as like the hand grenade. So if you see anybody with like a SIG 320, we always make fun of them. Like, oh, keep that grenade away from me, buddy.
And then Surefire stiletto, same stuff I always have. Pepper spray. Oh, my knife is in my box. I'm all over.
You're already dead, dog.
But don't worry, I have my little lockpick set.
For some reason, I was like, I'm gonna bring the old girl out.
Nice.
I like it. I love it.
Okay, so now that pocket dumps out of the way, let's hear a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind. There are people out there who, don't know about you, and would love to hear your background.
They fucking should, though.
They should.
Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, a little bit about me. My name's Austin Hancock. You can check me out on Instagram at austin.hancock1. I am a father. I'm a husband. I was in the Marine Corps. So Marine Corps from 2006 to 2010, got out. I went back into construction. I grew up. My dad owned a construction company as a kid. So I worked for him in the summers and shit like that while going to high school. And then I said, fuck this. I don't want to do it anymore. And I went to college. I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger. So at 17 years old, I got 2 felonies, 2 misdemeanors for getting in fights, similar to what we were just talking about, doing stupid shit, being rowdy. I wasn't a terrible kid after I say that, but at the same time, just making wrong mistakes and things like that. You make one decision when you're young like that, dude, and it can just cost you so much time of your life, and you don't even think about it because we're just, young fucking idiots. You know what I'm saying? Trying to carve your own path in life, a little bit confused. I think most guys in general have gone through it to some capacity. So with the Marine Corps is the best place for me. Went to the Marine Corps 2006, deployed to Iraq in 2007 all the way over to 2008. Did a operation also over in Africa with the Moroccan Army. So we did a joint operation there for training. And then that was basically my synopsis of 4 years collapsed into time, So got out 2010-ish when it was in the IRR. Went back to work for my dad. I was running equipment, welding, all the regular labor stuff, just concrete work, anything that had to do with housing or concrete work. That's what I did. I grew up in, knew it.
Super rad.
Yeah. So it was cool. I learned a lot of skills at that time, right? Like how to operate equipment. I mean, I grew up in skid steers, learned how to weld, stick weld, MIG weld, all of that stuff. Just regular. That was cool. Always been into cars. But so quickly moving through that, I was like, dude, I was just disgruntled out of the Marine Corps. I was like, I want more. I did a lot of cool shit. I felt in the Marine Corps at night. I got out at 21. Yeah. 21. So, I was like, dude, I want more for my life. And so a friend of mine at the gym kind of started pushing me. He's like, bro, just start your own company. And these are entrepreneur guys that were at the gym. I was like, okay. So I started my own company in roughly 2014. And I started building houses. I built my first house for sale because, I had help. My dad was also in construction. So I asked him questions. I had all these people around me that I just utilized and asked the right questions to. I built that house in 2014. I sold it and made like 45 grand over the period of a year. And I was like, fuck, this is more than I make an entire year. This is insane. Like, but my mind opened to like how money can be made, how life worked, and that kind of aspect of it. And like, wow, reframed a lot of things for me.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Reframed. Hey, good one, man. You nailed that one. That's a good one. Yeah, reframed. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I'm all in on this. And I started to grow that, building homes, doing custom houses. It's just because of what I knew. If I would have grown up in oil and gas, it would have been in oil and gas. If I'd have grown up with a dad that was a physician, it probably would have moved into that kind of aspect, or ortho or whatever, or, whatever it would have been. It is what it is. So I just took what was in front of me and just started to push on it, and take my energy that I had coming out of the military and being young, driven guy and put it in a good direction. There's many times, which we can talk about in the podcast longer form, but like that I dipped right back into the old life.
Did you?
Yeah. Just drinking out of the Marine Corps, feeling lost, feeling like no purpose after I got out. But I come through. So quick synopsis, if that's what we're doing, a highlight of. I go building. For a while, I did parade of homes. I did custom homes, high-end stuff, one-on-ones with people. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. Yeah. Like, it's a very emotional business. People build houses, and you're working with you and your wife on this special color, and it's most people's largest asset of their entire life. Yeah. And it's very Joanna Gaines, it's very like HGTV style. Like, yeah. So, I mean, you make good money at it, but you're the one that's doing it. Yeah. You're the one that's working with these clients and doing it. And I met a lot of great people there. I worked with a lot of high level people, doctors, attorneys, CPAs, people that were doing, levels in business. But when it come to their house, it just was stressful. And 2020 made it worse because we couldn't get material. We couldn't get labor. We had all these problems, right? I don't think we need to recap
wood
that.
Price spike.
Oh, yeah, because I couldn't give you a budget. Like if I was building your house, I was like, I don't know what's going to cost you. And you're like, and what's happening though too at that time, and people don't talk about that, is like there's so much cash being influxed into the economy that you're like, well, I kind of don't care as long as I want it done. But you want it done to a point until it hurts your wallet that much. And so there's a capacity with it. And so people get confrontational. Subs can't keep up. They can't keep people. Maybe Stacy, the housewife, wants this certain Thermador range. And you're like, hey, that's 7 months out. Do you really want this to hold up your build? We don't know the spec on this, when it'll be in. The other one's going to work perfect. And they're like, they have a decision to make. And then these are more decisions than most people have ever made. Yeah. They're very common to us on the other side of the table. Yeah. And so I was like, man, I just got into this because I knew it made money and it could make my life better, and it did. But now I need to learn something else. I need to learn the investing side of it. And so I was like, I need to know how loans work. I need to not just how to build the structure and go from ground up construction and all the engineering side of it and all of the permitting side of it and the licensing and the codes and things like that, which is what I learned. Yeah. I needed to learn like, how does this make money? How can I buy assets? I mean, the good old gateway drug to real estate investing, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So somebody threw me that book, bro, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm going to be the self-employed guy forever if I don't stop. Like, I'm going to run this business, and I can do multi-seven figures. I can do really well. But where does it go? Like, what is, at the end of the day, what do I have? Like, when I turn X amount of years old, what happens? Does it just stop when I stop?
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to make money, make more money without me being involved as much. So I went down and started educating myself. I went to the seminars. I went to the courses. I did what most people do now. They just start grabbing for things. And then I got overwhelmed, I got overwhelmed. But I still pushed on. And to speed up now, I'm a real estate investor. We buy and hold property. We fix and flip property. We wholesale property. We pretty much do the whole package. Mainly, we've been doing it in Oklahoma. We are going to start here in Southern California as well. I've only been in Southern California for roughly 4 months, but we're going to start cracking into that market too. So get ready. Yeah. So, but that's where it leads me back today. That's where I am, man. That's a long, short story.
Do you have a solid team in Oklahoma that handles a lot of stuff, or do you fly back and forth?
No. So we do everything virtual. So that's kind of what led me to being able to move out here. I was like, I got to be able to do this virtual. It makes sense, right? So I have my team is there, so I have a bookkeeper there. I have I lease a small office there still.
Tax purposes.
Yeah. I have a property manager
Right.
that's on the ground that can go like unlock doors, go show property,
cool.
go check on stuff, and that's pretty much my team for the most part.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Everything
What
else
a
can be
journey,
virtual,
man.
too.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. You know,
That's
it's just,
cool.
I feel like I'm just getting started too. You know, like the move really made it feel like a whole nother chapter. Like, okay, here we go again.
And how do you like San Diego?
And I love it. I love it out here. You guys were asking me a minute ago about it. I absolutely love it out here. It's funny. And maybe it's still fresh in my mind, so it's good to communicate this to people that are watching. But I had especially with what's going on in the last 5 years. I was out in San Diego, obviously in the Marine Corps back in 2006. I went to boot camp. I went to SOI, and then I shipped off, and then I got deployed. And then when we deployed, we did pre-mobilization in Camp Lejeune. And so I was mainly East Coast. And then we did 29.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah, no shit. Apparently it's on the commercials.
Oh, yeah.
But we did, I went back to Mojave Viper, which is a training facility in 29 Palms pre-deployment. And so I didn't spend much time in California except for School of Infantry. But when I was here in School of Infantry, I loved it. I fell in love with it, dude. The vibes. I was watching all the Motorcycle Mania from Jesse James as a kid, bro. Like Monster Garage. Like I was like, the tattoo magazines, Ink and Iron being a freaking. Dude, I watched all that stuff from like the magazines, right? Living in the Midwest.
Super
and so
cool.
I'd be called Oklahoma, the South Midwest. And so I always wanted to be out here. The vibe was always my vibe. But, I had a fear of finally moving out here after I got out, after I moved back home, after I got established, growing a business, met my wife, having kids. I'd always still wanted to be out here, but with what has gone on in the last 5 years, it's magnified. Like the people that have never even been out here would be like, "What are you going out there for, bro? Your kids are going to be like transgender and purple headed, like the schools and all this." And I'm like, but I was first-handedly dealing with that kind of asshattery even in Oklahoma. Like people don't think like, oh, Oklahoma doesn't have to deal with that, or Texas, you don't have to deal with it. No. This is a across the nation problem in general. And so I say all that I felt like, oh, there's going to be bums on my front doorstep. All these things hyped up, right? Like, I mean, you got to think of the outside looking in to people that may not be from California. It has a horrible rap right now. Because
everybody thinks
politics.
all of California is like downtown LA.
1,000%.
Right.
No, they really do. Like they're like they look through it like this. Oh hell, I'm never going there. It's a third world country, and it's not like that.
Look at California on the map and like take that same size and put it on the East Coast. We're like 7 states on the East, maybe more on the East Coast. Like we cover a lot of ground, and there's all kinds of different walks of lives and cultures and subcultures and towns that have different vibes, like all throughout. Like we were talking about Fallbrook earlier, and it's like, dude, that's a whole other world.
It's like a different country over there.
And it really is too. And people, I don't think people know that, right? Going from the outside, you do. You think from like the LA downtown, it's like that's all of California, and it's not.
I've lived in San Francisco. You'll have bums on your front door there, but that's about it.
Like downtown, I'm sure you probably get out of town. I mean, my sister was in Sac, and so it's like country town, like a little further out. She was right outside of that.
Yeah, it's just a little bubble.
It's so weird. Just little pockets of just different stuff all the way.
It is. But that's also what's cool about it too. I mean, not to mention the massive draw to the West Coast is always the weather, right? The weather and the things you can do. My folks just recently visited for the first time like last week, and what I always tell people, they're like, "What made you do it? What's it like out there?
Come visit."
I'm like, it's hard to explain. Like, it's just all I say is there's so much to do.
Yeah,
like there's so much to do. And so growing up in Oklahoma, I mean, there's not much to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what causes a lot of people to have bad vices. Everybody across the board, I'm sure West Coast has its own bad vices, right? You can find your own problems, but when there's literally nothing else to do, idle hands are keep the devil at play, right?
For sure.
And so when you have nothing else to do, you tend to do the bad things.
I will say, growing up in Orange County specifically, I think there's an exposure. I mean, I can't speak for other places, obviously, but like here, I know that there's an exposure to drugs and alcohol at a very young age here, like through high school and junior high. I mean, I remember like a freshman year of high school, there was a kid that was going down to Mexico with his family all the time and coming back with just bags of pills, like Somas and all of them, selling them to kids. And it wasn't like, it was like it would be as common as if he had like a new candy, Yeah. Like, hey, try. And so like kids were just popping pills, like no big deal.
For sure.
And it didn't even seem, I'm sure to other people, they'd be like, that's crazy. Yeah. Freshman year, you're like 15. Like, bro, at 15, there was girls doing meth.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think it's perception through like where you're at, right? Your own reality, because it's the same even in smaller places as well. It is, because
Yeah.
people are bored, or their parents do drugs and then they have bad supervision and they're kind of given this free reign. These people that live in rural areas, and they grow up with the same kind of stuff. I mean, alcohol is very easily available. People are drinking or doing drugs or whatever at a young age in the middle of nowhere too.
Yeah.
So it's not just one geographical spot.
For sure.
I think it's a mindset or a cultural situation that we're dealing with. And then just the ease of access makes it worse, right? Economically, we talked about the economics outside a minute ago. And so California having more people, you know, you're going to see more things. Like my wife graduated with 40 something people. I graduated with like 500 something people. I lived in the rural, you know, right outside. I'm sorry. I lived in the suburbs. She lived in the rural area. And so, you know, I had access to more things and more problems, but doesn't mean that the kids that graduated with 40 something people, they knew what cop was on duty and they knew whose parents had the drugs. They knew like all these things. So it's just, if you want to find it, you're going to find it.
For sure.
Yep. You know, and how you grow up and your parents make a big difference.
To back that up, I spent half of my high school in North County, San Diego, San Marcos High. Shout out to San Marcos. And then I moved to Orange County, and it was like completely different.
Oh, really?
I was like, dudes are doing what? Chicks are doing what? Whoa.
I think it's just more of it's like just almost a given that, you know what I mean? Whereas somewhere else, like you maybe had good kids, like, but here, even the good kids are trying drugs at least once.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's just so common, but it might be everywhere too. I mean,
no, you're probably right about that. I mean,
my experience, but I wanted to ask, you know, with the real estate stuff,
sure.
You know, especially living in California, real estate's super expensive. A lot of people, you know, from our generation are kind of like, shit, man, I'm not ever going to buy a home, or it's hard to do.
Sure.
What's some advice you'd give to someone out there that's looking to get maybe into the real estate market from an investment standpoint, or just trying to buy their first home? What's some good advice you got?
Dude, that's awesome. We can get in deep on this one.
All right.
So it's a long-winded answer. It depends, because you asked a lot of questions. You know, do you want to buy a primary residence? And then my biggest question, I'm 37 now, but I built my first house at 29. I bought my first house at 21. I came back from Iraq, and I would say I was ahead of the curve on that, because I had no expenses when I was in the military and I wasn't married and I didn't have kids. So I came back with like $30,000 of saved money, because that was my annual salary with combat deployment. Okay. And I used that, bought a house back in 2008 when the crash was happening, and got it at a good rate. And then had a roommate that I was working with, and he helped pay half the mortgage and shit. So it was before I knew anything about real estate investing. It just made sense. Like, bro, this is scary. I need a roommate. I
wish I had a roommate.
The wife doesn't pay the bills, does she? All these freaking freeloaders, these kids. Freeloaders. You know? So what I'm saying is, I've never stayed in a house, even ones I've built, for more than about 2 or 3 years. I like to personally move. I like change. And so if you look at that on an amortization schedule on what you're paying down on principal, if you look at the interest rate, depending on how it's cut up, you're usually paying interest only for roughly about 2, 3, 4 years, maybe even 5 years on a house. And so if you plan to move within that 5 years and you don't want to keep that property, then it may be better for you to rent and allocate that down payment or those funds to buying an investment property that pays you. That's an asset for you and not a liability that you have to pay and go work for. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, now the caveat to that would be, it's a good gateway to get your first rental property. And when you're in this market in California with such high appreciation rate, when the economy goes good, you could get a property like with an FHA loan, a little money down loan, or a VA loan, and then live in it for 2 years. And instead of selling it, keep it as a rental and move to the other property. And so you can parlay it. Yeah. But what I tell people is that's not a business model. You became a real estate investor kind of by happenstance. You're not really a real estate pro. You're a fucking amateur, and you have a house. And is it good? Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's good. It's better than not doing anything. It's better than pissing your money away on all dumb stuff or not buying any real estate. But it doesn't make you a pro. And so the way you would go pro, and you talk about getting into real estate investing, is you start learning how to buy deals. You hear the word deals all the time. Oh, is this a deal? Is that a deal? Well, what a deal is a deal that makes you money, right? How can it make you money? How can it give you a return in some capacity? If you flip a property, you can make a lump sum of money, and that will do well, right? Yeah, I made my money. If you keep a property as a rental, you can make the cash flow as long as you did your numbers correctly and you bought it correctly. And so learning to buy a deal, how to buy that deal, is different than buying your primary. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So people have become millionaires by happenstance right now in California because your guys' equity, right? Like it just happens. But it doesn't mean they're smart. It just means that they fell face first into it.
Shout out to all the boomers.
Yeah, good for them, and good for them, right? Like
I would have done the same thing,
and they didn't even think about it, to be honest.
No.
And so, but like if you were in Oklahoma, people made good equity too. It's just not near the capacity of the equity.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Ask more questions about it. Dive deeper into it, and I can give you more answers. But that's my high level-ish kind of dive into it.
So to like piggyback off that, I know like game's not free. You spit out a bunch of facts right there, but where can they find out more of that? Because I know you run that program.
Yeah, I coach people. I help people with that. Obviously, they can reach out to me, but I do love giving out free game in general because it doesn't matter. I can give you free game for hours right now, and it's very overwhelming.
Yeah,
and that's why it's still important to work with a mentor or a coach because there's thousands of podcasts and YouTube channels and books and things like that. And what happens is most people are drinking from a fire hose, and there's so many ways to get into real estate and make money that it's too much information, and we just it's paralysis analysis. You know what I'm saying? I mean, us being tactical guys, you guys having guns on the table and things like that. When you enter a room, when you come in and you do a CQB style room clearing, you have to quickly identify targets and then hit that corner or hit that objective, right? Bam, bam, bam. It's fast. But if you were I'm just thinking about it coming in and gallivanting around, you're going to get wasted, right?
Or if you could see the whole house all at once.
You'd be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And if you were doing it alone, you would have to think differently than if you were doing it with a team because who's going to cover the right corner when you cover the left immediately? And so that's a good analogy for people maybe watching this that have gun experience or CQB experience because you have to focus on the one thing, be good at the one thing, and then once you're good at the one thing, then you can start parlaying that into it. Yeah. And so the easiest thing, and people get overwhelmed like, well, I see Grant Cardone talking about multifamily. I see this guy talking about storage unit. I see this, so much information. It's overwhelming. Yeah. But take what you can do right now and what you typically can do. And the easiest thing to get into is single family, right? Mm-hmm. It's a very abundant source for the most part. And you can make some good money because realistically, for most of your viewers and for most people in the real world, they make an extra 20. That makes an extra $30,000, $40,000 that year just on one flip or one wholesale or one deal. That impacts their bottom line massively in their lifestyle. So now if they can do that, like my situation earlier, we talked about, I made $45,000, which was basically my salary for the year or more. Actually it was more, and I'll explain why in a minute. But they go do that, their mindset will shift. The proof of concept is there, and then they'll be able to continue to dive in and sink their teeth in further, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
It's super awesome. So go buy a house.
Buy a house correctly, though. I say that because you can buy them wrong. The downfall to FHA style little money down loan or a VA loan is the opposite of what I said. So I said little money down. So let's say it's 5% on a VA loan or 5% on an FHA loan. Okay. And you buy, let's just call it $1 million property just for round numbers. If the market shifts and it goes down and you only have 5% equity, you could be upside down on the property fairly quickly in a certain market shifts. Look at 2008 in California. They suffer the most because you guys have the highest peaks and the lowest valleys. Now, that is where you have to bear caution because when you get a VA loan, let's say you're stationed here at Pendleton and you're a Marine and you get a VA loan and you're like, hell yeah, I'm a real estate investor. I got this pad, I got this property and the market dips, but you get relocated. You get new orders to Lejeune or somewhere else and you can't sell your property and it's worth less than what you purchased it for. Who's going to save you? How are you going to be helped out in that situation? And that's what can happen with little money into the deal. And so when I purchase property and the way I teach people to purchase property is like, let's use that $1 million home example. I would rather you learn how to purchase and find a piece of crap house, buy that one in the same neighborhood as the other $1 million homes for $500,000. And yes, you can do it. You just have to understand where to find the deals and what a deal is. So you find this turd for $500,000. You add value to it. Yeah. You're going to force the appreciation by cleaning it up. If any of you guys have ever flipped cars or bought an old pistol from a friend that needed the money, same concept as houses. It's literally the same. People have hard times. People go through financial despair. People pass away. People's aunts are hoarders and they need to sell their property. Things like that happen. So you find that property. You get that property, you buy it, let's say you take it down, you add value to it. There are loans that will help you cover almost 100% of this property. And now previously before buying this that it would be worth $1 million. So you're going to buy it for $500,000. You're going to put $200,000 into it. Now you've created the equity because you are all in at $700,000 and you have $300,000 in equity. Now, We have the exit strategy of being able to rent the property because we owe less on it. We have the exit strategy of because we could refinance it if we needed to, because we're 70% to the value of the property now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you tracking?
I'm
That's
tracking.
cheap information.
I'm tracking
No,
it.
100%.
All right, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, well, I want everybody to know. So, or you could sell the property and scoop up your equity now, because let's just be honest. If you could do that ideal situation, I know we're running round numbers. Don't hack on me. There's a lot of things, the caveats and things that come into play
Yeah.
here. But in this perfect scenario, let's say you sold it, you had commissions out of it and everything. Let's say you brought home $250,000 in this scenario. $250,000 sounds great. It's gravy. You could scale it down if it was only $100,000 property, if it's in your area, or a $500,000 valued property. You scoop that out. Let's say you were going to rent it and make $1,000 a month. How many months will it take you to recoup $250,000? So you're better off selling that property.
Yep.
Anyways, that was a lot of information. But my point is that learning how to buy the deal is much more important and learning how to do the business is much more important than just jumping in blind and getting started.
Yeah. There's a house in my neighborhood. I noticed months back that the car in the driveway had flat tires, had been there since we moved in over 2 years ago. Tag was from 2015, and the grass kept overgrowing.
Perfect deal.
I'm like, something's going on here, right? But I know nothing. So I like had a client that was a real estate agent, but she was more worried about getting me qualified for a loan to buy it.
Caveat, most agents aren't investors.
Exactly. And so I found out that I think the mom and dad got put into a home. It's their house, and the son just kind of keeps the house there. The city comes by once a month and cuts their grass.
Gives them a fine. Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is the perfect deal, guys. Listen to that. What scenario he just played out? Everybody watching this has some kind of thought or remembers a property or a neighbor or a friend, but did not know what to do with that kind of property.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting. Yeah, you send me that. I mean,
we'll talk
honestly,
after. Yeah.
If you guys like literally for this, for anybody watching this, and same for you guys, anybody. If you don't know what to do with those scenarios, get with an investor like myself. Send me the deal. You have my Instagram handle now, and I'll analyze it. And if there's money to be made, then we can make money together on it. Especially if it's in our market or not. And if it's not me, maybe it's in some other random place or some other state. But get connected with your other real estate investors in town if that's what you choose to do.
So there's a difference. I just learned this right now. I want to make sure I got this correct. There's a difference between a real estate investor and just a real estate agent.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, an agent. Think of an agent as a good example. All right. When you buy a car, there's a car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you guys? Do you think that car salesmen know much about the car?
No.
Exactly same thing. But people assume because they have a fiduciary duty, they have a real estate agent license, that they know everything about real estate investing and real estate itself. So I learned that really quick in business when I was a builder, because I would be the builder. I built all this. I spent all this time. I have this loan on this house. I have a construction loan. I'm right. All of this is resting on me.
Yeah.
And then the agent would come over, fucking Debbie would come over, click, clack some keys, turn some lights on, and then just mumble bullshit about the property out that I knew that she didn't know what the hell she was talking about. And I'd be like, what the hell? This is what sells the property, this lady? And so I was like, this is mind blowing. Yeah. So that was a learning lesson for me, But and being an agent's great. There's a tool to being an agent as an investor. It's not a bad thing, but there's a lot more agents that aren't investors. There's a lot of people that are just salespeople, and they make a living doing that forever.
For sure.
Another thing, well, I have a lot of things to say about agents, good and bad. Good and bad. Yeah, they're not all real estate investors at all. No. They're real estate salespeople.
Yeah,
their job is to facilitate a transaction between two parties. And unfortunately, I've had real estate agents blow deals just from their lack of education, blow deals from their ego, from their pompous attitudes, especially when I was building and doing higher end stuff. They tend to get in the way. They misspeak. They misrepresent clients. And the best transaction I can do is between me and you, and communicate when I was a builder, like, this is the deal. This is what I want to do. I can really take this, man, if you're willing to do that. And usually you can come to a pretty good agreement, like man to man, person to person, human to human. And when you get an agent involved in there that makes a commission or a spread, sometimes they cause more problems than good.
That makes sense.
Well, they might just be used to making money one type of way. They only know one thing. So like from that situation with that house, the abandoned house, all she probably knew is like, oh, my normal home buyer buying their primary. So thinking outside of the box of like, how can I find a creative solution to get this person in this? So for everyone out there, you have those creative ideas. Maybe you have the entrepreneur mindset. Maybe you want to invest in real estate, but you don't know how. Like, find a real estate investor, someone that can help you through that process. And
right. And that's not necessarily her job, right?
No, I don't think it was.
And in her mind.
Yeah.
I think people think that is their job,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people, the first time they get on a call with me or they're interested in jumping on, any kind of coaching program with me, they're like, well, do I have to get my license? And no, you don't have to get your license. In the United States, we are able to do transaction to transaction. If you wanted to sell me your house right now, you just said you had equity. And if you want to do something, we could negotiate and work on our own terms. We don't need an agent to broker that deal.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a license to sell a property, to do anything like that.
You
have to have a license to represent. The reason you have licensing is because if you're going to put a property on the MLS, which is the multiple listing, whatever it's called, I don't even know what it's called because I'm not an agent anymore. But if you want to put a property out on the market for sale, then you're representing someone. So you have to be a professional and you have to hit financial, fiduciary duties. Mm-hmm. And full caveat, there are good agents out there that will do transactions. Some of my good buddies that are in the Marine Corps are agents now, and they're really good people. They're great connections. And if they don't know something, they'll say that and they'll try to make deals work. But then, there's always bad ones too. So.
Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah. Sorry. I know it's not our typical content and a bit of a tangent, but it's
why we bring him, man.
It's fascinating. It definitely piques my interest for sure.
It's definitely interesting.
Well, here's the thing, whether it's typical content or normal for here or not, every single person watching this either rents a house or lives in a house. And so 100%. Everybody's dealing with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if the more information that they can have when they come to the table at their next transaction, their next lease, their next purchase, it obviously provides value.
Great stuff, man.
So buy a house.
Yeah. Correctly buy a house.
Working on it. Well, we're just in a unique situation. We rent from family and pay their mortgage they got in the 90s, right? So it's
brutal.
Way under market for rent. And we kind of live in this fantasy of we have this house, we pay cheap rent.
Yeah.
But that fantasy is going to end.
Here's something I would do. Is it close family? What do you think that's going to happen to the property in the future?
So that's the issue. It is 100% part of their retirement and retirement plan.
Okay.
So they're either going to sell it or live in it.
Okay. So why don't they sell it to you now? No. Why don't they sell or finance it to you now? So they can still make the monthly cash flow from it, which is what they want because people in their older age need money monthly, right?
Yeah.
So they could sell or finance the deal to you and be the lender, and they'll be able to make the interest, and you guys can pre-negotiate those terms so that you already have title or at least an equitable position in the house, knowing that if they were to die tomorrow, it doesn't go to probate and you have to leave. See what I'm saying? Yeah, you can do that, or you can do a lease option, meaning you have a lease and you have the option to purchase it at a pre-negotiated price.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't leave me.
But right now, you are at a disadvantage. I don't 100%. Care who the family member is. It could be like your mom, and it could be your in-laws. It could be your aunt. It could be longer relative. But you have to, this is your life. This is your family in that home, and so you'll have to do something if they decide to do something or some life situation happens. So the best thing you can do is pre-negotiate that, or at least make it advantageous for yourself and them.
Yeah. Well, and that's the issue is there is a timeline. They don't want us there longer than 3 years.
Yeah. What's the reason for that?
So that they can sell it or move in.
And then my question to them, I'm asking you these questions, so maybe you'll ask them. So my question to them or to you is, what's their plan? They're going to retire.
Yeah.
What are they wanting from retirement?
I think
a lump sum of money,
just to be able to do it.
Okay, a lump sum of money, which is what I spoke about the other day on my Instagram. Was like a lot of people at that age, maybe they're baby boomer generation or they're older in general. They're going to take that lump sum of money, and now the clock ticks. Like you outlive the money. That's the problem. And so they're like, okay, let's say they made $500,000 or even $1 million or a couple million. I don't care. They have to live within a certain lifestyle and guideline in order to live off that money. And if they're not going to redeploy that money into the market and make more money with that money, then it's dead money anyway, and they're just ticking away. Yeah. So they're almost better off financing it to you at a certain pre-negotiated rate so they make a monthly income plus their Social Security in any kind of retirement, and they're guaranteed to getting paid that. In that situation specifically, it works well because they're already family. And so they would be working with you and doing something, because let's say they sold the home and 3 months later they died. What happens to the cash anyway? It's maybe part of her family trust, your family trust, or something of that capacity. But now it's arguable over the cash versus the asset. And if any other your family members that are involved in this are not watching this, we hope they're not. Yeah. You are essentially locking your position in now by pre-negotiating, and you're already in the property.
Do you think if you brought this information to your in-laws that they'd be like, "Holy shit"?
My father-in-law is very practical and very like he is the type of guy that if you go, hey, here's a business plan, I've thought this through, here's what it means for you, here's what it means for us, he would at least listen. Like he's reasonable for sure. And
so 3 years. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overtalk you. I'm
No,
just
no, I
excited
love
about
it.
this shit.
Me too.
So I love this. So let me lay out the scenario. Let's say it is 3 years and they want their cash. You right now, if you locked into a seller finance agreement and you put a balloon on it in 3 years, you know what a balloon is? That means all of the debt that you owe them will come due in that 3 years. So it may be on a 30-year loan, but it balloons in 3, meaning all the debt that's due is due in the 3-year, but it's on a 30-year term so that the payments are lower. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Everybody's tracking? Yeah. Okay. So now if the balloon's in 3 years, what will happen is if you put that contract into an agreement today, because of what we talked about, and you do a seller finance transaction with him and you lock it up and you have equitable title, meaning you have interest in the property, you have legal interest, you have ownership of some sort. So what you're able to do is you're able to go refinance that property in 3 years. So you're going to go get new debt on the property. So he gets paid in full and you keep the property and you've been making payments on the property from the day after day.
Wow.
So he gets his pay. He gets cashed out. You go get some whatever fucking loan you need. But here's the caveat. Within 3 years, do you think that property value is going to go up or down?
Up.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what happens is that spread. So let's say you got it locked in for $700,000. Like you guys agreed, man, I'll pay, my father-in-law $700,000 for the property. That's like top dollar. Maybe it's market value today. Well, that's cool. Within 3 years, if it goes up 30%, 20%, you already have the equity spread captured and you're able to go refinance it with maybe little to no money down into the loan.
3 years from now, we might be in a better situation with interest rates.
Correct. And even regardless if you aren't, you're in a better position equity wise.
I love this, man. Sorry to take over the podcast for my personal stuff.
But shit that people deal with every day and they don't know they're passing on opportunities. So when people think I'm trying to sell them on the phone about getting on coaching, I'm like, I could give you an hour's worth of information that could literally save you from making a mistake. Well, this is hundreds of $1,000.
This is good for the people watching because all the time, if you're like me at all, you have the idea, you want to do it, but it just is so complicated, especially with family. How could I ever navigate a deal with family? And it's like, here's a professional, here's someone that would be worth investing your time with to solve the solution for you, because the alternative, like you said, is to do nothing. And in 3 years, I get kicked out of the house and
you start
have to enter the rental market of Southern California where a house will be $8,000 to rent.
Right. Exactly.
So
I mean, in this situation, he doesn't lose either.
Live with me.
I got 2 kids.
It's right here at this beautiful rifle range. It's legit.
Hey, if I didn't have kids, I would live at the tattoo shop.
At the studio,
If I didn't have kids, I'd be probably in Ukraine right now.
Working.
How many kids you got?
I have 2 little girls. 7 and 8.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. How long have you been married for?
A little over 10 years. So this November will be 11.
Sweet.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Met my wife at 23. So I was out of the Marine Corps, and doing my thing back at home, working, being a freaking, crazy alcoholic. I guess I don't know. Met her. It was the best thing for me. What drew me to her too, I guess, is this is a good topic. Is that I grew up I told you, in more of the suburbs, right, where people did pretty well. I grew up in Edmond, Oklahoma, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City, and it's what people would deem the more expensive area. It's just more expensive for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay. Average price, I think, house on the market now or last year was like $400,000. So for Oklahoma, that's median house range is pretty high. Good area, good spot. But a lot of times with that, you have parents. I went to school with kids that, got just the range. It doesn't matter where you're at. The range is still the same of like the kids that got given cars, the kids that got given this and that. And I grew up middle class and my parents did well over the time of being entrepreneurs. I say all this because she grew up more self-sufficient. And that's what drew me to her. After having the life experiences I had coming from the Marine Corps, deploying, things like that, I was like, oh, dude, there's a chick that doesn't go to a sorority in college. It doesn't have these hand-me-outs. You have these daddy, that gave her all this, and I have to freaking live up to that lifestyle. This is a chick that knows how to buy her own insurance, knows how to get her own car loan. So that was very attractive to me. You know what I mean? Independent style.
Awesome. Yeah, having a good partner is key, man.
Massive.
Massive. If you have one, you find one, that's lucky.
Yeah,
it's great, man.
For sure.
Cool. I want to talk a little bit about the tattoo side stuff too, because I know you just got pretty heavily tattooed over the course of 3 days?
Yeah, so this is my second 3-day session with Mads. I did the first one like a month ago. and it was brutal. That's the longest session I've ever done. It's 3. Usually I've done 2. Like my full neck, I did 2 back to back. Chest 2 days back to back. Stomach 2 days back to back. 8-hour sessions with Vito, and now I did with Mads the 3 days. Just Friday was my last day. I'm trying to just finish my bodysuit tight all together, you know.
You're almost there, huh?
Almost
yeah,
there.
right leg, huh?
Yeah, right leg's the only one I have left. And I've already lined it out. It's already lined out. It's just got to finish shading and everything. So he thinks we can knock it out in 2 more days.
Sick. What's his Instagram?
Mads, good question. I'll look it up real quick while I have
I
it.
sent it to you.
Did you?
Okay.
We'll post
Yeah,
it.
we'll put it up right here.
If you guys catch his story recently.
Mad, MADSTHILL. Yeah.
Cool.
I also want to give a shout out to Vito. Vito did my neck. Vito does a great job. He's in LA. So
Sweet.
yeah,
We'll get your Instagram from him later too,
Sure,
and we'll
sure.
put it right here.
Boom.
And we learned how to do that.
I know.
Nice.
I sent him your story of your tattoo. I was like, dude, look at this. He's like, whoa.
Yeah, dude.
That was a funny
epic.
story. Like you and your wife were like, can I post it?
Yeah, I was like, what's my ass?
I was like, I don't know.
Well, because
Yeah.
Louis was there too, and I'm like, and we had all the gay jokes in the
Yeah.
world, right? Like, and Mads is funny as fuck, so he's all good. He's actually from Denmark, so he's a Danish
Oh,
dude.
nice.
So he's got
Cool.
a great sense of humor. Looks like the perfect Aryan race, like blonde hair, Danish, pale skin, blue eyes. I'm like, grew up in Europe. Damn. So he had all the jokes in the world, but I'm like, this is the gay. And coming out of the ring, I was like, this is the gayest shit I've ever done. I've ever had my neck getting tattooed by a dude, being videoed by another dude. I was like, man, this may
party.
be it. I know, right? There's many things in the Marine Corps
Yeah,
that were
that was-
borderline, but that may have been it, especially in my 30s.
Well, dude, it's epic work. I mean, I got to see yours firsthand
Yeah.
here, and then like I creeped on his Instagram. The filigree work is
It's
just insane. Is he drawing that stuff on?
Yeah. So
I
he
figured.
he does a stencil, and then he draws it in as well.
Cool,
So,
little combo of both.
Yeah, combo,
Nice. All
for
right,
sure.
sweet.
Yeah, and what was crazy is we drew it all out of my legs. It took him a couple hours, and then he wrapped it to get the stencil, to get it all on there. So he wraps it all in, like, I don't know what it is, like sticky film, pulls it off. When you pull that off of a leg, dude, that's like the size of a back.
It is.
People don't think about, and I did not think about how big a leg piece is. A leg sleeve would be for like a back.
It really is. Yeah, because you just see the front, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's just my
unwrap
leg.
That.
I'm just
It is
gonna get this
literally
done.
like that big. Yeah, sleeves are tricky. A lot of times, for like arms, kind of applies for legs too. Like someone will get like a cool piece on the front, sick,
Right.
cool piece here. I'm done. It's like, nope, you've got a whole strip here that people always forget
Lot.
about.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
I feel attacked, bro. Like,
Hey, mine's just a big black blob, so
Nice. Nice.
how brutal was that? Like day 2, was it brutal on you, the pain wise? So I was like,
Yeah, it's there's spots that are horrible, right? You can just
Yeah.
bake in some spots, not bad. But other spots, I mean, dude, I don't know about y'all, but the older I get, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Like I was a hard ass at 21 getting tattooed. I was like, I'm just gonna bear through this. Try to prove a point.
you're like,
At 30, in my late 30s now, I'm like, fuck this.
Dude,
What am I
everything.
doing now? What am I doing with my life stuck in this chair,
So I sent you a message like, hey, how you holding up? Because you got kind of went dark.
Yeah,
You know,
I went dark. My wife's like, you completely went dark on Instagram. I'm like, I know,
I was
because
like,
I'm
you're-
fucking
you're
dying.
dying over here. I was like, hey, how are you?
100%.
Yeah. I was like, I bet that shit's got to be brutal.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I was
You
like,
just do it. I mean, there's
"You doing
nothing
good, man?"
exciting about it.
Yeah, dude, it
I'm
definitely
alive,
gets worse as you get older. I'm same age, so it's like at 30 it started,
Yes,
and
it
it's
did.
just like I'll just do small pieces from here on out. But
Yeah.
I'm doing my entire back now. I've saved it for so long, but I'm
Yeah.
finally getting it done.
I'm
So,
safe.
yeah.
I'm safe too.
But you being in a studio, I've always thought would like you could do a couple hours at a time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the best way to
yeah.
handle
Oh yeah,
it. Until you get burnt on it, like, ugh, then you just stop.
yeah, and like I could because we all tattoo each other in the shop,
Right.
so it's like.
That's cool. I can handle that.
Yeah, it's
versus
super fun.
trying to
It's
brutally
cute.
handle out 6 to 8 hours.
Although with my back, I want to just bang it
Blast
out.
through it.
I want to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
like outline.
Everybody do it or what?
No, I'm not
Yeah,
getting.
you see those dudes that get all gassed up and then they do their whole back and stuff.
I don't. Everyone's got to hustle. I'm not gonna like throw too much shade on it, but it is weird.
It is weird. It is.
It is a little weird.
Yeah. It
If
is.
you got the money though, because I think they charge
It's like
like,
30 or 40 racks.
dude, I've heard like there's a guy No Pain Ganga or whatever. I heard he charges like $250K for a session,
What? For like a
Yeah.
whole back bodysuit type
whole
thing?
body suit. But that's to get knocked out because they're paying the anesthesiologist,
Yeah.
they're paying all that.
That's
So
where the money comes in. Is the anesthesiologist,
Yeah.
the drugs, and then the medical support.
see, I can talk shit all day,
Should
but
be
the
spending
second
money
someone's
buying
like, "I'll
houses.
pay you $250," I'm like,
Yeah, done.
done.
Gas them out.
It's not weird at all.
Yeah. All right, first you're going to take this Colt 45, and then you're going to take this ibuprofen 800 milligrams. And then here, this doesn't smell like chloroform. You're good.
Yeah.
We saved ourselves some money.
Hell yeah.
Super. I know you touched on the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I kind of go down rabbit holes on people and things that interest me. And
Sure.
I saw a picture with you escorting Senator McCain at the time.
Yeah.
You want to touch on that?
Sure,
I thought
sure.
that was pretty rad.
So when I was in the Marine Corps, I was at 0352. So I was an anti-tank assaultman. So I shoot tow missiles and javelins is what I was trained on as my MOS. Yeah, infantryman, but the missile guy, usually with CAT teams or mech'd up, in trucks with weapons company.
Hell yeah.
And so when we deployed, though, our like 0352s are almost useless in 2007, 2008 in Iraq. There's like not much we could do. We're not blowing up shit anymore. We're not blowing up tanks for the most part like that. And so what we got allocated to do was to be jump platoon is what the Marine Corps calls it, but that's basically personal security detail for the battalion commander and the battalion sergeant major. So you're running around with the dude of the AO, the bosses of the AO, enlisted and officer the whole time. And so you got pretty squared away as your unit. You got to have shaves and everything's got to be clean cut because you're the one checking on all the other line companies and headquarters and supply and really just doing your rounds and whatever he wants to do, you do it. You're ready to go. So you're more of a VIP security team than you are a typical infantryman that's at a base doing guard. It was an awesome job, honestly. That's the best thing. I mean, that was my only deployment, a combat deployment, but I loved it. I'm glad because we didn't have to do, security or night watch or anything like that unless it was on an op, and it was cool. And so we got to do the cool shit. And you could get a battalion commander that was completely lame and it would suck, or you could get one that was gun-ho and you'd have a fun deployment. And so we had one that was gun-ho. Dude was awesome. And so we would have VIPs come in and out. I mean, we had the four-star general in the Marine Corps come in. Right. We had all sorts of people come in that were VIPs, sometimes politicians, sometimes different government agencies. I get to see a lot of that, which was pretty neat and very interesting I think I was 20, bro. I mean, I'm like, whoa, this is wild, right? Like I'm trying to just understand what the fuck is even going on. Because I'd be in the, operations room and we'd be planning on what's going on. And we get to come in after they plan most of it and get told what we need to do. And blah, blah, blah. And so, one time we went, it was cool because we did a cool operation back to back. So we did an operation where we had to take a Navy commander, which was like a surgeon, Navy commander, from Haditha to BIOP, which is Baghdad International Airport in the Green Zone. And so we took him all the way to Green Zone. Then we came back through Ramadi, through Fallujah, and we just took the highway all the way back. We had to make like a 2-day trip. Normally this wouldn't be a 2-day trip, but in Iraq, this is a 2-day trip at 35, 40 miles an hour. And so we went all the way through that. That was legit. I got to see so many different places in Iraq, which I was very grateful for. Most people only get to see their little AO, their little area of operation, their little thing they do.
There's parts that are like kind of pretty, right?
Yeah, so what was cool?
It's not all desert and shit.
Yeah, when
right?
I went to downtown to Baghdad, which is completely different from where I'm at. I'm more in like we were stationed in Haditha in the Al Anbar province, and so it was like little city, pop up the Euphrates River, the big dam the Russians built a long time ago, and that was basically our AO, desert and shit like that. And then we go to when we go to Baghdad, we're like, dude, it's like developed and building. So it was mind blowing to me, like seeing like real operations, people with houses with pools and like, I mean, not like, super nice houses, but they're concrete, right? Much more a modernized area. So that was huge. Anyways, we got back from that operation, that 2-day operation. And then I think it was 2 or 3 days. We immediately got word that we were receiving a VIP, and it was Senator McCain during the presidential elections when he was still a senator, getting ready to run or running. And so that was super cool. We just went straight into that, and we did security for him. He was just making basically a meet and greet situation, I think, just for politician, for face value. He went down to the main souk, which is the main, market area. He was just shaking hands, doing the thing, talking to battalion commander, talking to all the people. He had his own security team, and what we were able to do is we as the VIP, as the jump platoon did, was the inner cordon. So we were inner security, and then there was just massive security outside. Like, so we were inner security after his team was already on him, and then it was line companies and weapons companies stationed all around the freaking city for that situation.
I would imagine the risk is super high with a target.
It is,
like
but like
being a potential target.
I mean, think how fast I heard about the orders. Like, it was like, hey, we have a VIP coming in, and it's like now, and then we go do it. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell's
yeah.
going on, and I'm going to be the guy that, and they don't even tell you until it's like, and then we get word like we're in the vehicles on the way of who it's going to be.
Okay.
So, and that's just because our battalion commander wanted us to be briefed up. So I don't know. There could be word being passed of who does what, but yeah.
Where are you going?
Where's he gonna go?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's
got
first. No, you can hold it. Yeah, no, I was just wondering, because you also wonder, not being in that world, you see these like high level politicians going into these areas, and it's like, how high is the risk? Are they only going to like very safe areas because it's a photo op? Like, but I mean, the risk is always there.
It's always there.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they are. But you got to think. I mean, honestly, at how high of level of security that they have, they're probably more risk, making it more of a risk going to freaking the wrong area of America.
So true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't have the damn Marine Corps providing security for you and coming in. You don't have you don't have Lance Corporal Hancock with a machine gun walking in front of you, So the reality is that I would think it'd be more dangerous just running around here because someone can make a pop shot and you're done.
It's true.
Versus over there, it's like over the top security.
Well, you've seen a lot of that right now. Like that politician in Mexico just got assassinated or attempted. But yeah, I mean, that's
that would be the easier way to hit. I mean, if we're looking at it from the other side of the table,
yeah,
much easier just to hit them on a nonchalant style day versus that type of situation.
Yeah.
And even like you think, okay, well, what about an explosive or some kind of way to set it up? They changed routes so fast. Like I'm sure that there was a designated route that was released, and then boom, last minute we changed routes, and so you would totally miss your opportunity.
And do you think that's do they ever like decoy, or like
try to play it?
Yeah,
that's from our side of the table, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%
for sure.
Yeah. Especially, cool. I mean, we did a few operations with special operations dudes with Green Berets, and they definitely, I mean, they're for sure. They're playing games all day on the back end.
I just tattooed a guy who was in I forget what but he did psychological warfare.
Oh, psyops.
And some of the shit he told me, like one, he was like, oh, we'll like play sounds from over here, helicopters, tanks, all this stuff, and then we actually assault silently from this side.
Yeah.
And some of the other stuff, like they'd play stuff through speakers to get like the Taliban like riled up, and get them come out, like having their interpreters say super messed up. And I was like, dude, I never even thought about that aspect of war. But like,
Dusty?
No,
it wasn't Dusty. It was another client. I'll keep nameless, But my wife, I'd telling her that story, and she's like, that's just terrible. I was like, it's war. There's no like outside of like the Geneva Convention. There's no rules.
We had a psyops crew, an Army psyops crew, come and stay at our fob once, and they legit had a Humvee rigged up with speakers all over the outside. And they're like 3-man crew. That's it. They run around, and I don't even know what they do. But I was like, when I saw it, I was like, what the hell is that? They're like, that's the Army's one of the psyops units. Yeah. I was like, that's wild. So,
a question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you guys, Marine.
Yeah.
Done some wild shit. You train your ass off. Do you guys think like your wife knows the extent of what you can do, like on that side of if shit goes down? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever asked?
I'll let you answer that one first.
She knows I train. I don't think she knows like to the extent. I think she appreciates that I train for our family, but I also don't think she fully ever understands like what that means and what I'm actually training for. People always ask like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Like, it's fun. It's good to be able to protect your family. But I also know like in the back of my head, there's a very real chance like someday our country gets invaded, and like, there's no like, at that point, there's no thinking about it. For me, I'm, have to stop that from reaching my family. Right.
For sure.
So, I don't think she wants to know the reality of what that means. Like I was thinking, we were talking about the other day, like, we have kids. We're kind of outside the age, and, it is what it is. I didn't enlist or do anything. I became a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
But like, no matter what, if it comes to us, we like our soil, we're going to fight so our kids don't have to. Like, we'll end it there. But like my wife was watching a Grantham video with me the other day, and it was 2 guys that had come back from Ukraine, young guys. One guy had blonde hair, blue eyes, just like my son, who's 2. Yeah. And she like started crying, and she's like, she's like, he reminds me of our son, and she's like, I never thought about with our daughter, like that he may one day have to experience war. And I was like, yeah, you just figured out the secret of like what it means to be a man.
True.
You know, like it's a different, at the end of the day, there's a different responsibility that comes down that like is untalked about a lot of times. I know we have women in law enforcement and military and stuff, and they definitely serve the role. But when it comes to like bodies, you know, typically it's going to be the men making that sacrifice.
100%.
So.
I agree. Yeah.
I forgot the question, but
I don't know. I think there's been times where she wishes maybe I would have been more aggressive to answer your question, but there's also times where I know that I have more cool head about myself because of my capacity, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And so there's been, and I think even, the guns and stuff is cool, and being able to tactically do a situation in a grand scheme of things is awesome. But from the smallest standpoint, I think where the biggest problems can arise is from the most simple situation at the diner or at the local bookshop or freaking restaurant or whatever. And so I think the first line of defense is you and your physical ability, your jujitsu ability, your fighting abilities, defense, your reactiveness, how well you handle a situation under pressure, and medically too, right? Like medically from the backside, the opposite side.
Big
of that.
on medical.
But do I think that she knows, if I remember your question correctly, my capacity or what I'm capable of? I don't think so, no. But I think she, like you said about your wife, she respects it and understands. I think there's been times where she's like, man, I can't believe that you let that guy say that or flip you off or do this thing. And I'm like, of course I want to, right? Like every bone in my body. And it just drives me even more nuts when she was like, man, we had a situation like a professional situation, awkwardly enough, where we were at a deal and, you go to a gala or an event or something like that. And a guy was drunk and he's a high level business guy. And maybe he got a little too flirty with her, didn't touch her physically or anything like that. But, she was like, why wouldn't you come with? And I will, but I didn't know about it, the situation. Right. And she's like, kind of wanted me just to feel good. Like what? And I think what it is from her situation, from her standpoint, is like, do you not want to protect me? Like as a woman, right? She wants to feel wanted. Like, right. That's what it is. And I do 100%, but I didn't know about the situation. And she's like, I'm not going to do anything about it now. I'm not going to cause a confrontation. I said, stand us next to each other, put us in the same room. If I addressed him, he's going to pee his pants. Like it's just a situation. And so I think what she's looking for is just reassurance that I would and be that, but I don't have to go out and freaking fluff around like a chicken or act like a 17-year-old Austin did,
Come on,
and get myself in a bind for some street cred. Man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you have a lot to lose on the backside now as a professional and as a father. What does that look like if you stroke somebody over the head, they hit the curb and they're fucking dead? Now I don't get to see my kids. Congratulations, you were a genius. You're such a badass, Austin. Not really.
And I think as men, we're constantly battling those two sides of like, I want to fucking murder you.
Yeah.
And but there's jail, there's consequences, there's all the lawsuit, whatever's going to come. I always look at it as like you have a ticket you can punch probably once. And it's like, do I really want to punch the ticket now? Probably not.
100%. And then
if I don't have to,
dude, exactly. Yeah. And one thing we talked, I don't know who I was texting. Maybe it was you talking about, carry, concealed carry. And one of my concerns of being out here is well, there's certain things I just don't know all the laws in California. And so it's like there's certain things that are legal, certain things that aren't. And like where I'm from, Oklahoma, for the most part, if you can get it at a gun store and you can rock it anytime you want. You can have it in your car, you can do your thing, just don't be a dumbass. You don't have loaded mags on your dash and shit or with your rifle and stuff. And you can probably even do that, if you want to go to the range. But like here, there's other laws and you got to know your laws, you got to do your research and things like that. But there's a fine line, like I think one of you mentioned, like I'm the same way. I believe firmly in it. Exactly what you said. Would you regret your family getting injured, or would you regret, getting arrested one time because you had that pistol? So
to me, that's worth it.
100% worth it.
What about you with your wife?
Yeah,
does she know your capacity for violence?
We had an incident where we had an active shooter scare at one of my kids' schools, and I was just in like the area of home, and I just so happened to have all my stuff, and I went over there.
No joke. You had that opportunity. I mean, a negative opportunity, but you had that opportunity.
Shout out to like my local PD. Like, they're awesome dudes. Some of them to train more than others, but I would go in. I'd be like, you guys got to shoot me or arrest me. At the end of the day, I wouldn't care.
1000% agree.
So like I got a couple kids, and at the time, my daughter was going to the same school as my oldest son, and I always tell her, hey, anything happens, go get your brother, get home. Like, screw what they say. I don't care. Get out. And my daughter is tough because this world is gnarly. So daughter's got to be tough.
Mine too, man. 100%.
And it sucks because she's beautiful like her mom. Dude.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
That's good though, man. It's good. You're preparing them,
But like my kids, like the only thing where I was like, I will murder everybody.
Absolutely.
Like,
yep.
It's funny you say that situation. You were given that situation. That was always a concern of mine. I used to live really close to the school where we were in Oklahoma, and I was always like, yeah, I bet I could respond faster or as fast as PD.
100%.
So that's huge, man, especially with what's going on in society and schools and mental illness and whatnot.
And I'm the weird parent that I have kids that go to 2 different schools, and I have maps of those schools.
That's not weird, man. That's probably better.
Because of all the wild shit that goes on here.
Yeah. Here in the United States is what he's saying. It's all over.
Yeah,
right?
it's all over. Like it's wild. And I'm just like, I will not let my kid
go down like can you want to unfold a little bit more about that situation? I'd like to learn about that.
Just just kind of like a stand down. It happened just it wasn't actual scare. It was some random report, and it turned out to be nothing.
So how did you react? How did you roll up? Are you just standing at the doors with a freaking full kit and a rifle, or what does that look
just
like?
Rolled up and started suiting up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's nothing. Stand down. It was for another school like a block away.
Yeah.
Some academy, and I was like, what the hell were you gonna do? Like whatever I needed to.
Whatever I need to do. Exactly.
I was like, at that point, I don't care.
Yeah. What is your contingency plan or plan in general with making sure that law enforcement didn't identify you as the target?
Our colors are kitted out for local deputies.
Okay.
So, and I know a lot of the dudes, so they're gonna be like,
"That's the guy. That's a good Roger." Guy. That would be my biggest concern is that you roll up and you're like, no Joe police officers like this is there's a guy with a gun.
No Joe is not gonna hit me while I'm running.
Right, yeah, I'm given. But you also don't want to, from the operational standpoint of the PD and what they're trying to do and organize, I wouldn't want to cause chaos on the other side of it.
At that point.
And make them think, oh, he's over here, and then the other guy's over here wasting the kids. Like, that would be my concern.
We just talked about in our group chat, the guy who stopped an active shooter and then picked up the guy's rifle and the police killed him.
That's a real situation?
That really happened?
In the United States?
It just happened.
Yeah. No I think it happened a while ago, and it just popped back up in the news.
Yeah, it happened last year, and now that they're not charging the officer.
Oh, okay.
Of course you wouldn't. I mean, you got to think from the officer's standpoint at the same time.
I was like, wow.
I'm here for an active shooter, the guy with a rifle. There's the guy with a rifle.
And he's
standing over a dead body. He doesn't know that's the active shooter.
If I'm the cop coming up, I'm eliminating the target.
If anybody shoots anybody, don't touch their gun. Like, just don't hold on.
If you eliminate the target in general, you should immediately start to unkit and run your gear and give some kind of warning at least.
It's like in CQB, we learned about the deconfliction. Like when you're, coming around a corner and you think it's your buddy, you got to have like some form of communication, some way to deconflict, so you don't,
waste each other.
Yeah.
Like lasers these days are a good one.
Yeah, but for that scenario of the active shooter, you got to make sure you're not getting.
I just refuse to like the whole. What was it? You laid the one in Texas?
Uvalde.
They didn't roll in. Fuck that! I'm going in.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah. That was wild.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Honestly.
That was a weird one. Y'all can go down the rabbit hole on that one, but
hey, you want to go down a rabbit hole? Let's talk about Las Vegas.
Oh,
I knew I could fire up this crowd.
Well,
Las Vegas.
You would know, right? That was what you carried.
Do you think it was a 249?
I think it was a 60.
You think it was a 60?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a 60 or not. I'd have to listen to it. Dude, have you listened to, I think of like a RPK or a PKM. Mm-hmm. So I think of it more from, but at the same time, they're like, it was 5.56 round. I don't know. Not. I don't think so.
It wasn't.
Because everybody's like, it's a 240. Everybody thinks it's a 240 Bravo.
No, the RPMs were a lot lower.
Correct.
It was
Agreed. A 240 is a massive round. It's not a 5.56. So people are like, well, if it's a 240, then it would have been. And the rate of fire from a squad automatic weapon from a 249 is faster.
Yeah. Way
faster than that. So it would have to be
40 or 60 probably.
Yeah, it has to be a 60. If it's not a 240, there's no way. If that's a what is that, a 7.62 by 51?
Yeah.
And so that's a much larger round.
Yeah.
It is a deeper thumb. But a 7.62 by 39, which what you would run in like a RPK,
interesting,
would make more sense than a 100-round drum, in my opinion.
I tattooed over 20 people that were there.
Wow.
Because a lot of them got Route 91 tattoos to commemorate. And no, actually, I think it was closer to 50 because a lot of people from SoCal were there.
Yeah.
And once I did like a couple of them, just people started getting a bunch of them. Most people, were there and ran away, whatever. But I got to hear so many stories of their experience. One of my clients I tattooed got shot, and he got shot in the back shoulder, tiny little entrance wound, and his scarring just goes like all across his body because of it tumbling and exiting.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's like sad, but it's kind of funny. He has no recollection of that day, that entire day, and half of the day prior, and like multiple days after.
Men in Black.
Zero recollection. All of his other friends who didn't get shot, like full PTSD, trauma, all this stuff. So a year later-ish, they all go back to Vegas. Everyone that didn't get shot, didn't have any like mind blocking, memory blocking, they're having a really hard time. They're getting anxiety. They're getting emotional. They're remembering. The guy that got shot, he was like a puppy dog. He's like, fuck yeah, we're in Vegas, dude. Like, no memory of it whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah.
From shock, like just trying to erase it.
Pure brain, mind protecting itself.
Yeah.
But,
especially an average person that's not prepared, like they're not intentionally going to war and thinking about
no,
just going to a goddamn concert.
Yeah.
So,
but my aunt was there.
Oh, really?
In the crowd with her husband at the time. So that he was saying, he was one of the ones that was like reporting to the news, like, hey, there was people in the crowd shooting at us. He's like, I was helping people. Mysteriously, a month later, he ended up dead, butt naked, at State Line.
No freaking way.
What?
Yeah. And that like screwed up my aunt, so she bounced out. She moved to Texas. She lives on a farm.
Dude,
and just doesn't want
heavy
anything.
shit going on. It's not. Nobody has the answer to that situation.
Weird.
The whole story doesn't make sense, and everybody could agree that it doesn't make sense, and then it just got swept under the rug. Like it's over.
Completely. I remember I was awake when it happened. It was October 1st. I don't remember.
Easy, Rain Man.
October 1st.
Don't ask
1 in the
me
morning
to do simple math, but I remember seeing it happening, and I just like on the news, which is weird because I don't watch the news.
Yeah,
but I just happened to be awake, and it happened to pop up maybe on YouTube or
That's
something.
crazy.
And I was like, "This is a big thing. Whatever this is, like I just knew. I was like, this is different. It's weird."
I only had like 2 comments after that happened that were fucked up. And I was like, why is Dan Blazarian asking for a gun? Shouldn't he have one while in Vegas? And the second one was, man, I wish they took out Jason Aldean because his music fucking sucks.
Damn, dude.
Damn.
I was like, that didn't even like, oh, dude.
Dan Brazilian, that was hilarious.
Give me a gun. I was like, no, what the fuck?
Give
Who
me
are
a
you?
gun.
Who are you, bro?
Yeah.
Give me a gun. Shouldn't you have a gun in Vegas? Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
I guess, if you ever have an active shooter situation at a school, you can just roll up and like go up to the cops, say, give me your gun. I'll go.
Yeah, don't worry.
I wouldn't want those.
I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing.
Well, we're not going to worry about the time too much on this one. We wanted to
we got
kind
some
of
extra
time.
extend it, but
The question.
are we ready for the question?
No, not that question. A different question. One that I sent you. So we're wondering your ethnicity.
Dude, I don't know. What do you think I am?
Okay, because I was like researching tattoos, and I was like, dude, he's starred up. He's got stars.
Oh, that question.
Yeah. What is it? Let's hear it.
So, no, if you're starred up, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Russian knees.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not Russian.
Because that's where I come from.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, he's starred. I was like, I don't know if he's on his shoulders or you just
No,
kneed
not
up.
shoulders.
Okay.
No shoulders.
Okay.
I got a K-bar through my neck though.
Nice.
That's right. Yeah. Now, my ethnicity, is that the right word? Damn.
It is now.
Where are you from?
Background? Who's your daddy? And what
Yeah,
is I don't know, man. I'm probably a mutt, American mutt. I'm a mix. My mom's side is last maiden name is Hawkins, so probably Native American at some point, and then the Hancock side I think is more German. So, but no, I'm not. I do respect the knee tats though, and I did get those, because I feel like it's the same symbolic reason that they get them as, I've been the knee to nobody, right? And so that's how I stand on it.
Cool.
And I'm trying to get stars before I go.
You get stars in the shoulders, a different one.
One of the guys, there was a kid in the shop who got the stars, and he was Russian, and there was some connection, and a phone call was made to someone that had to approve him getting it.
Do you think that was real? Real?
I feel like I didn't do the tattoo. I was just kind of in the shop hanging out, and
they're on the shoulders.
I don't know.
Like the old country, they'll have a guy, but if you're not there, then
I think it was on his knees. I don't know.
Knees and shoulders, man.
Yeah,
I don't remember if he got the shoulders. I just remember it was like
because of this now, bro. I'll be so pissed.
I will fuck whoever whacks him, I will fucking whack you. I swear to God.
Yeah,
but it's
thought we would be
like that movie Eastern Promises.
Yeah.
Fucking love that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
More
I mean, let's be
watch
honest, dude. Like we all like guns, tattoos, cars, right? There's a car show outside right now. Like
to start.
Like, dude, I don't know. It's just like we like the same movies, right?
Yeah.
We have mob movies, like Russian movies, like war movies, and probably what we drew inspiration from as children in order to be where we are and what we do today, right? So
it's true.
Red Dawn.
That's right. Hell yeah, dude.
Over and over again on VHS.
Damn.
You got any other questions before we ask the big last one?
What was your first car? I know you're a big car guy.
First car, my first truck. I'm in Oklahoma, bro. So
Okay.
everything's a truck.
I know, but Oklahoma's like such a big car like area.
It is, but
Street
everybody got
outlaws.
trucks. So I had a truck. My first truck was a 2000 Dodge Ram short bed,
Okay.
regular cab that I'd put like a 5-inch Skyjacker lift on and ran
Heck yeah.
super swampers.
Nice.
Drove
There
that
you
to high
go.
school every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
My first car was a 71 El Camino.
Oh, that's dope. Was like a
70
350
square
classic.
That it had a 3-3 in it, turbo 400, 10 bolt.
Nice.
And then while in high school, I bought a 67 El Camino and then a 65 Chevelle. It was a Malibu SS.
Yep.
2-door hardtop. And that was like my baby. And yeah, I had way too many cars in high school.
Me
I
too.
love 70s cars. I had a 70 Coupe de Ville,
You know who else
and then
loves
my
70s
first
cars?
was a 70
Women.
Volkswagen Squareback. What?
70s are rough. Unless you're like 70, 72. Like 70, 72
See, I don't know shit
Chevelles.
about cars. That's not cool.
73, everything
70s.
got lame. Super lame.
Yeah, everything just fell apart, bro.
You
After
look
like
at like
73.
73 no.
I like
Except for
1970.
Ford trucks, pretty baller. Like
Yeah.
79, 76.
Those just kind
were
of stayed
good.
cool. But like,
yeah, but
all
every
like-
car,
yeah,
fucking piece of junk in the 70s. For the most part, 73 and
small.
up.
Okay, but I like
Small kill.
70. Like
70?
1970.
70s
70?
okay. Yeah.
I feel like a 70
I
That's why I
sold
don't
that
talk
truck.
cars, man.
Yeah.
I
I sold that truck because I got in trouble. My parents were like, you're going to pay for your own attorney. You're a piece of
You're
shit.
like, damn.
So I sold that truck and made some money back. And then I bought a 69 Chevy step
There
side
you go.
short bed. And I drove that to Votech while I was going to Votech and then fucking paying my attorney. So
Because you had a Chevelle also, right?
yeah, I had a Chevelle like after I had kids. Yeah, I had a
Heck yeah.
68 Chevelle,
That's a great year.
350 and a
Great year.
350 trans. Then I swapped them out for a LS motor and a T56.
There you go.
And then I did a full suspension, Hotchkiss suspension,
Heck yeah.
and new wheels and everything. Yeah, I'll get into that. That'll probably be my
Yeah.
next purchase. As my wife's big time wants the Chevelle back.
You're looking at me because you know I don't know what he just said.
Like we were popping off about the Lamborghini. It was like, oh, VF engineering supercharger. Got that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cars, man.
Confession when he was like, "Oh, look, you can see the thing," and I was like, I just looked in.
He's
I was
like,
like,
yeah, that's a cool thing.
it's probably in there for sure.
It was
On
like
it.
we went on a training op to film some footage, and he got a flat tire. I had to change it. Mind you, he just had knee surgery.
there
that
you
was
go.
like-
There
I
you
was
go.
like, bro, you're lucky I like you, dog. Like, it's just
If we go to a car show, my wife, she's like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, "Don't ask that question out loud because then I have to, people will hear that I don't know what
Yeah.
any of these cars are unless it's in the license plate,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great, dude.
77 Chevy, like that's a 77 Chevy.
You like that one, babe?
Yeah.
Dude, like we were walking out of his old tattoo shop on Main Street, Huntington, and we were walking in to get lunch, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude, that's a '69 Roadrunner." He's like, "Is that a cool car?" I was like,
If you think so, I mean, it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
"Good." This car's worth so much money.
Yeah, yeah.
So much money. It's stupid.
That's a big thing, though. Like, so yeah, I have a Lambo now, and I got some like new stuff. But I love all cars, man. I got respect for all the game,
Yeah.
Even like JDM, and so I can get my head around some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not a big own bunch of it, but I like all cars, man.
I do.
It's not just about the price of the car. It's like, do you like the car?
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
So you're down with Subaru Outbacks?
Dude, if they rigged up the right one in Australia, I would. Is
In the
that
Outback,
fair?
bro.
Is that fair?
That's fair. Mine's got a
Yeah.
roof rack.
Let's be honest. It's probably not the best vehicle to be running around in for me.
All
It works good though, for him.
right, final question. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to ask it.
You
this
have
time.
to ask it. I have to ask it.
This happens every episode. I go, you ask it, and then you say me, and then I do it. Okay. What do you see as the greatest threat to the United States currently or in the near future?
Ooh,
Yeah, that's
what do I
good.
see as the greatest threat to the United States currently or in the near future?
Yep.
We kind of touched on this on the way up here. I don't think I'm going to give an answer that maybe you guys would suspect. Common morality.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because regardless, if you have common morals, at least you respect each other's differences. And so
Yeah.
it's okay to respect each other's differences and have differences. But what draws people closer to being enemies is not respecting each other's differences. And then the gray line of where we are now of how far does that go? And so once the United States was more based on a Christian ideology and mindset, and some could definitely argue at this table we don't follow through with that with tattoos and some of the traditional beliefs. But when you have the common morals and values, it's respect thy neighbor, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I think that's what is the biggest threat. Honestly, if you look at America and what we are founded on, we're all mutts.
Yeah.
We're all immigrants at some point. Somebody's family, yours, mine, his, everybody was some immigrant at some point. And I think what brought us together was united under one flag.
There you
And
go.
when you're united under one flag and you believe at least that we should all protect each other and work together, you're a great strength. But it can also be our biggest weakness.
It's a great answer.
That's a great answer.
Great answer.
Cool. Before we let you go, any socials you want to plug? Any
for
websites or whatever? We'll put them on the screen.
Sure, yeah. If you guys want to learn any more about real estate investing or just coaching in general, I've worked with business owners. I've worked with people that want to get their lives right in their direction. Because some people, let's be honest, like we're not ready to take down $100,000 or $1 million deal in real estate. Some people just need to get their fucking personal life right first and get their basic routine down, be a better father. Yeah. We talked about being a parent. And so if you're interested in any of that, go to www.austinhancock.com, or you can just hit me up on Instagram, austin.hancock1. Check out my YouTube channel as well. We're trying to grow that. Like he said, make all the comments in the world, whether they're good or bad, subscribe. So, but I love connecting with like-minded guys like you guys. This is an awesome environment, an awesome place. And for anybody that has ever thought differently of California and you watch this channel, dude, this is what it's about. These are the kind of people. And honestly, bro, for you two guys, I'm telling you directly, like I feel more at home here, and I appreciate you guys having me out.
Heck yeah.
Really appreciate you, man. Thanks for making the trek out here and being on the show. It means a lot to us, man.
Awesome. I love it.
Cool. Season 2, episode 6 in the bag.
It's a wrap. Whoop.